Well, today's the day we start colts, so it's something we've been looking forward to for a while. And we like to start the colts in the fall because we use them all winter, and it's just a good time to expose them to a lot of different stuff that we do in the winter that we don't necessarily do in the summer. So we are going to start some colts, and I want to take you along and show you what we do. And I want to show you the colts we're going to start first. So let me turn this camera around and I'll tell you a little bit about them. Okay, here's the two colts that we're going to start. This buckskin colt is off the Pitzer Ranch. We bought him as a baby, and he's 2 years old. He's out of a stud called Duke Got Jack, and we're really excited about him. And this sorrel colt right here is actually a full brother to Boudreaux. You've seen us ride Boudreaux quite a bit. And he comes to us from Kenny Black and Black Diamond Ranch. We've talked a little bit about his program as well, but we're super excited about him. And so these are the two colts that we'll be starting this winter, and we'll show you kind of how we get them going and what we're doing. Okay, so here's just a couple of things as we get started here. Kind of my disclaimers, so that you understand where we're going with this colt and where we're going with this whole process. And that is that we don't consider ourselves to be professional horse trainers. We do train a lot of horses. Most of the horses we train are for us and for our use. Occasionally we take outside horses, but not very often. And so take everything that I say with a grain of salt, because what we do works for us and it may not work for everybody. And over the years we've just kind of developed this process that, like I say, works for us, and it fits kind of where we're going with the horse and what we hope to accomplish with the horse. And we've studied and tried all kinds of different things along this way, and we're still studying and learning all kinds of things. That's the one cool thing about training horses or breaking horses, is there's always something else you can learn. When you think you've got it all down, that's when you're going to make a mistake. So anyway, I'll just kind of tell you where we start with these colts. So this is a 2-year-old colt. We've done the basics with him. So he's broke to lead. He stands tied pretty good. And other than that, we've kind of not done a whole lot. We've messed with his feet just a little bit, and as you can see, we've got him gentled down pretty good, so we can get up to him and touch him and that kind of stuff, and comb him off. We spend quite a bit of time just combing our colts and getting them gentle again, getting them where we can handle them, and where they're not afraid of us. And that's kind of the key thing, is we want these colts not to be afraid of us. Again, so where we're going with this horse is we want a finished ranch horse. And so we're going to do things that help us get there. Everything we do with this horse in this training process, we will be using down the road. We don't want to take time on kind of wasted steps, so to speak. So it might be different if you're starting a barrel horse or a team roping horse or a trail horse or something, but you know, our goal is that finished ranch horse, and so that's what we're doing here. And kind of some things that you need to have established with your horses is, horses are herd animals, and as such they have a pecking order. It's just the way it is. And I know that some people want to get in and just be friends with their horse and love their horse and stuff like that, and that's all okay, but you've got to establish yourself as top on that pecking order. If you don't, you will have problems. And I got perfect examples of that just here recently. One of the colts that we bought, I was just starting this with him and petting him and feeding him and stuff, and I was giving him some grain, and he didn't think I was giving him grain quite fast enough. And so he bit me, and I mean, he bit me hard. And that's because he didn't see me as anywhere on that pecking order. He saw himself as higher than that, or higher than me. And those are things that you've just got to have established. If you don't have established that you are the leader with your horses, that you're at the top of the pecking order, you're going to pay that price down the road, guaranteed. Your horse won't respect you, and you can't build a relationship with the horse if you're on the bottom of the pecking order. Okay, so I just want to throw that out there too. Being on the top of the pecking order doesn't mean that I'm going to beat this horse up or hurt him in any way. It just means I'm going to establish my leadership. I'm the one in charge, and that's going to pay off down the road as well. So when we're in tight spots, and maybe I've got to lead him through a rocky, bad place or get him to go over water, those kind of things, I want him to know that he can trust me and that I'm the leader and that it's okay if he follows me, you know, so give him a little bit of confidence too. So that's why that is so important, and that's the very first thing you've got to do. You absolutely cannot have a horse that bites you or kicks you or will run over the top of you. They've got to respect you. So I hope all that makes sense. That's just, you got to establish that like right off the bat. And for some people that's really hard. You know, they want to develop more of a friendship with a horse, but horses don't necessarily understand that. Again, they're a herd animal, and they go by that pecking order thing, and it's wherever you're at on the pecking order is how you're going to get treated by the horse. And it's just kind of a dangerous thing. So again, don't want to beat that to death, but it's just super, super important. So some of the things we've already been working on that you can tell, again, is just getting him gentle and desensitizing him to a lot of things. That takes time. We're not going to do that in you know, a 15-minute session in the round pen. We're going to do that over months, and we're going to work on it all the time. And so you kind of need to be handling your horses on a regular basis. The other thing is I want to put a good foundation on this horse. That foundation is everything. We'll come back over and over and over again to that foundation as we go through this process with this horse. So that foundation is all about me taking my time, teaching this horse the right things, and making sure that he has that in place before I move to the next step. So sometimes people think it's all about, well, let's get the saddle on him and get riding him. That will get you in trouble, I think. And it doesn't put a good foundation on a horse either. So we spend about 10 days doing just foundation work. And yeah, I'll get him used to the saddle and things like that, but I won't get on this horse until I've got 10 sessions in with him. And I kind of set that mark to keep myself in control as well. This horse right here, he's super gentle, and he's really easy, and he's got a great personality, and he's got a really good disposition, and it would be easy for me to get tempted to just put my saddle on him and just get going. And I've got to be really careful with that. I've done that in the past, and it's worked out okay, but you skip those steps. You skip some of your foundation, and then you got to come back and reteach your horse. And so we just want to like skip that, not get too quick, skip that process there, and stick with giving this horse a good foundation. And so everything that we do, that you'll see us do, is stuff that we're going to use down the road. Again, I think I said that already, but so we're going to put this good foundation on this horse. And one of the things, a good start is that the horse is lead broke, and that he ties well, and that he stands, and that he's not afraid of me. So we put quite a bit of work into just that with this horse. The other thing that we use is we use a pressure and release method, and I think most people probably use that method, but horses are, they just respond better to that pressure and release. They are a prey animal as well, and so when there's pressure on them, they're going to do one of two things. They're going to fight or flight usually, or they can figure out kind of what that pressure is and how to get away from pressure, but horses spend a lot of time trying to get away from pressure. So we use that. Now that pressure is and should be super sensitive, or you need to keep light hands when you're applying pressure to a horse. Horses are incredibly sensitive animals. They read a lot into my body language, and they're going to read a lot into like my demeanor, and And you know, even if I'm having a good day or a bad day, horses can pick up on that. And horses are also sensitive enough that if a fly lands on this horse's hind end, he can swish it off with his tail. I mean, he can feel that and he can control that. And so we just need to be mindful of that. And so I'm going to start this process with really light hands and going easy. And I'm going to judge like how much pressure I need to use and kind of where this horse's pressure bubble is, and figure out, you know, how much pressure I need to apply to get from him what I want to get from him. So I hope all that makes sense, but that's kind of where we're going. Okay, so part of that pressure and release technique that we use that about in everything. But one of the things that we kind of started with this colt already is we've started being able to pick his feet up, and you've just got to get that established. And so I want to show you how we do that. And the other thing I want to tell you is this colt's disposition is way different than the sorrel colt's disposition. They're two very different horses. They have different personalities, and things have come easier with this horse than they have with the sorrel horse. So he's been pretty easy. But I'll show you some of the things we've used on both horses as we're going here on just being able to pick their feet up. So I want to be able to rub down my horse's leg like that and get him to lift his foot up. And I don't want to stand here and see how long I can hold it up. I just want him to know that that's what we're doing. I just want him to pick his foot up. Okay, if I'm having a hard time doing that, I use a soft cotton rope to do a little bit of, again, that pressure and release. And what I'll do is I'll get my horse used to this rope. I'll let him know this rope isn't going to hurt him. It's not something that's going to get him or anything, but I just put that rope around that leg like that, and I start working each of his legs just like this, and that helps get him desensitized. Okay, it lets him know that this rope is okay, it's not a bad thing. Now when I'm ready to start to pick his leg up, or want him to pick his leg up, I'm just going to drop this down around that ankle, and I'm going to apply just a little bit of pressure. Okay, and we're going to see how much pressure I have to apply to pick it up. But if I keep the pressure on, eventually he's going to pick that foot up. And the second that he gives me the foot, I let the pressure off. Okay, then I let him stand here for just a second and think about what just happened. He felt some pressure, he gave to the pressure, and the pressure went away. Okay, that basic lesson is, we're going to use that throughout this whole process. Same thing on the back foot. Now back feet are a little bit trickier as far as just getting your rope in there and stuff. You want to be really careful. When I'm working back feet, I work right here in this area of the horse. I don't work back there, and then I just fish this rope through however I can. And sometimes that means throwing it on the ground and leading your horse into it and then getting a hold of that rope. This horse is gentle enough that I can just reach around behind him. Now he didn't like that too much, but that's okay. And then we just start working the rope again. And we're desensitizing him right here with this rope. I'll put it down there around that ankle and just put a little bit of pressure on him. And there he goes. Now I let it go. So that's how this process works. And we do that over and over and over again. I want to tell you too, this isn't just about picking his feet up to trim his feet or to put shoes on this horse later down the road. This is also about if this horse ever gets caught in wire, or if he gets caught in rope or anything else, or if I'm roping and he gets stuff tangled up in his feet, he doesn't have a complete come apart. When horses have a come apart that way, they will hurt themselves and just, boy, especially in wire. So he's used to this pressure, and he's used to having stuff around his feet, and he knows if he gives to that pressure, it will go away. So I've had horses that we've done this to that have got in wire, and they'll just stand there. And they'll stand there for hours waiting for me to come out and get them out of the wire. I've also had horses that we haven't established this, and they've gotten in wire, and they've just tore themselves up. So that's that's why we do this, and that's why we take our time with this. That's why I want this horse to just be comfortable on every one of his legs, to having something on there and to feel that pressure and then to give to that pressure and not panic and have that flight response kick in. So again, I'll bring the red colt in here probably a little bit later, but he's different than this horse. This horse has been pretty good about it. Red colt's a little bit not quite as trusting yet. So anyway, that's what we do very first right there on his feet, and that's part of our groundwork. The other thing I want to establish here with pressure and release is on his head. I want him to understand what this halter is and how it works and how he keeps away from the pressure on that as well. And so we're going to work a lot of different exercises with this halter. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to teach him how to back up, and I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure and see how he lowered his head right there and took one step. That's it. I mean, he just learned a whole bunch. And I'm going to let him stand here and just think about that for a minute, because that was great. Okay, so I'm going to try it one more time. Just put a little bit of pressure on his nose. There. Now, I didn't put a whole lot of pressure on him. I just put just enough, and I could tell his body language was that he was going to give to that pressure, so I just let it happen. That's the start of a foundation. How many times do you need your horse to back up when you need him to back up? And how many times does a horse kind of brace up right there and not want to back up? So we work on this a lot. All right. So the other thing that we work on is getting this horse to give pressure and flex his neck side to side, and also be able to follow his nose around. And so I'm gonna just pull on him a little bit here, again really light, and get him to follow that rope around. That's the other thing that I need him to do. Okay, and he's doing a great job at that. He's following around there. Now, why do we do that? Well, obviously to lead, but also that's the first steps of when I'm on him, getting him to be able to turn and start to move his head and give me his nose. And so I do both sides, go both directions with him, and just keep him real soft and real easy. And again, just establish how that all works. So those are things that we're going to be working on with both these colts. Now, I'm not going to put all of every step. I'll put the steps, but not every minute that we spend with these colts in the video, because people would turn it off and quit watching. But you just have to work with it and work with it and work with it until your horse kind of has those things down. That's part of that foundation we were talking about. That's part of what he needs to be able to do for the rest of his life. And so we want to make sure that we don't skip any of that and we do a good job. So being able to pick the feet up, pressure and release on the feet, and being able to get him to give to this lead rope and turn both directions, and to be able to back up with just a real simple and easy push. Now, I'm not going to back him up 100 feet. We're just starting. So I just want him to learn all about that pressure and release. Okay, so over the next month or so, we'll be doing this, and I'll bring you along on how these colts are doing. And we'll introduce more things every week. And like I say, we're going to do 10 days of this groundwork, and then we're going to work on getting them saddled and getting them ready to ride. So, all right, hope that makes sense. And again, hope you enjoyed that part of the video.